Hey, what's up guys, Frost here. I decided to make a video on the new exotic armor I'm going to be using for the future. But before we get in that, I just want to let you guys know the gameplay in the background. It is just a full aggression playstyle. I run the feedback fence, got dire promise on, sunshot, and my sniper rifle is a Aachen. It's a blue sniper rifle with snapshot. So in this gameplay, I'm literally just trying to play as aggressive as possible, and I end up farming. I get a bunch of kills, and you'll see that in the end. But anyways, back to the main point that I want to talk about. If you've been watching my streams or the YouTube videos, you would have noticed that I'm a big fan of the Crest of Alpha Lupi. That's literally like my main exotic that I've always used. Never, decided to use Syntoceps or, other popular exotics that other Titans will use. I never got a chance to explain why Crest was my favorite exotic to run, regardless of the subclass. It didn't matter if I was running Striker, Sentinel, Sunbreaker. I always still used Alpha Lupi. But in a couple words, I like using it because of the playstyle it gave me. So with Crest, I was able to play a lot more with my barricade, since Crest of Alpha Lupi would give me health boost every time I popped the barricade. It was kind of like if I wanted to get the perk to proc, I had to use that barricade, and I like that. I don't know, I like that playstyle it gave me. In the current meta right now, health regen is so key. So you see people running around with perks like Surge and Worm Husk. Those are really popular things, and Crest of Alpha Lupi is the closest thing to health regen from any ability that doesn't require for me to get a kill. So yeah, you can get health regen on Striker, Sentinel, and Sunbreaker, but you need to get a kill with your melee to get that health regen. So that's not something I have to do with Crest. I just pop a barricade, boom, get a little bit of health back. So for a quick example, if I got shot by like a hand cannon or got hit by an arc bolt, I would pop my barricade and I would get a lot of my health back, and it would put me in a position where I could have almost a fair gunfight in terms of health. So originally I'd be weak, right? And then I'd probably lose a gunfight because I already lost a lot of my health. But thanks to the barricade, I would have my health back, and I would have better chance of competing in that gunfight, and I wouldn't just die immediately. So yeah, I didn't like going weak into a gunfight. I'd be getting hit by grenades, and there's there's people at the back of the map who will just hit you with like your graviton or some scout rifle like once, and then you're like, oh dude, what are you doing over there? And then team shots and stuff like that. So definitely the Crest of Alpha Lupi would help me a lot to deal with stuff like that. Recently, have you guys seen that Bungie post on their website about the exotic armor pieces getting a buff? They included feedback fence in that list. So before, those things were pretty good already, and with this buff, it's gonna be pretty crazy, and we'll get into that here in a second. These gauntlets were already growing in popularity ever since they got fixed before. So at first, when Destiny 2 released, the little shockwave that it would release when you got meleeed wasn't really doing any damage at all, but they fixed that and it does damage now. But yeah, ever since they fixed that, they've been growing in popularity, and I knew, I've been keeping a close eye on it. The perk they have is called Fury Conductor. So this perk activates with melee kills, and it only stacks up to 3 maximum times. Okay, so these gauntlets, I knew they were pretty decent. My buddy Terminator from Primal, he showed me a clip of what Fury Conductor times 3 does, and I was just like, wow, that's actually pretty crazy. So whenever you have Fury Conductor times 3, it will literally one-shot a player if you get meleeed. So let's say you get the perk to proc 3 times, and then you run into this guy and he melees you when you have times 3. He'll literally die in one shot. It's crazy, I know. I don't want to bother breaking down the damage numbers. I just want to speak with like my experience, with all 3 types of Fury Conductors. So there's 3 scenarios for the gauntlets, right? There's a Fury Conductor perk proc, which is base 1. Then there's Fury Conductor times 2, and then there's Fury Conductor times 3. Okay, so most of the time you're only going to experience a base Fury Conductor times 1. When it's times 1, you can punch somebody, get meleeed, and then when you punch again, you will kill them on that following melee. Okay, so let me say it again. When you punch somebody and they melee you, you'll get Fury Conductor to proc right there, and they take damage. And then when you melee, they're going to be weak enough to where your next melee is going to one-shot. So basically you only melee twice, right? But in that 2 times you have to get melee in between. Okay, another scenario would be like you pop a barricade and your enemy runs into it and they melee you. So when they melee you, they're going to die And you're probably gonna be like, why I didn't even shoot them or do any damage to them. But if you know how the barricade works, when people walk into it, they slow down and they take damage all the way to 1 HP, right? So already knowing that, you can see they'll walk to the barricade, be 1 HP, and by the time they melee you, they'll just die instantly, right? When Fury Conductor is ×2, obviously it's gonna do more damage, but there's nothing special that I've experienced with ×2. Unlike ×3. Okay, so that's pretty much it. You know, the ×1 and the ×3. Knowing this type of stuff about the gauntlets, I was kind of interested, but it wasn't enough to get me to give up the Crest of Alphalupia. I was like, those are nice little, you know, benefices in the gauntlets, but I still want my little health regen boost, right? My health boost. But that wasn't until I read the next buff they're going to be receiving. If their next buff, the feedback fence perk, will now activate on melee hits instead of kills. I know. You don't even have to kill people anymore. All you have to do is just melee them, and you'll get Fury Conductor to keep stacking up. That means I can stack up to 3 times by just punching people. They made it easier to get the perk to proc, and it doesn't even stop there. They also added another bonus perk, which is melee resistance. Oh man, these gauntlets are gonna be annoying to deal with. So not only am I going to be doing damage if I get meleeed, but I'm also going to be taking less damage from people if they melee me back. So with these changes in mind, I said, man, it's time to change things up. I'm getting bored of running Crest of Alphalupia because it has no power fantasy. I just pop a barricade, get some health back, boo, right? And then I was just like, okay, whatever. I've given. I'm going to change my playstyle, use something new and different. These gauntlets are going to be pretty crazy. So these are going to be the gauntlets I'm going to be using for the future, unless Necros gets a buff, like maybe they get the same treatment as Wormhusk, or I pop a barricade to get full health back and stuff like that. But, you know, for the meantime, right now in the present, no, right? I'm going to use these feedback fence exotic gauntlets. Anyways, let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Peace.
Minutes left. Double down. A victory well executed. You won today, but respect your opponents. Defeat comes for us all.